And I guess multiplayer will start out with everybody's stash being empty, 0 gold, no items. So we'll just take it from 0 there and write our own story. So yeah, really looking forward to that. We don't have an ETA, we don't have a date for the multiplayer, and it's been ongoing for I think 2 years now. The people were asking about when is multiplayer coming, but we're now at version 0.8.5F, so I would suppose it's only natural that the multiplayer will come on version 0.9, and that will be, my best guess would be in the autumn, or for sure until the end of the year, because 11 Power Games also needs the time to test it. The thing is, I'm sure you've seen the Diablo 4 announcement video, marketing video, let's say, more like it, the Necromancer video, and yeah, they say 2023, but as I know Blizzard, they usually announce the release date just a couple of months earlier, because we do a lot of internal testing and we're quite hush-hush about it. And if Last Epoch doesn't reach 1.0 status before Diablo 4 hits, supposing that Diablo 4 is at least decent, or enough people to play, because if Diablo 4 is at least decent, it will steal all the player base Last Epoch could ever have. And it's a fine line, because you either release too late, a perfect game, but nobody's interested in that because we're playing Diablo 4 or PoE 2 or whatever, or you release too early, people see that Last Epoch reached 1.0, interest goes sky high, I don't know, 100,000 people join in the streams to watch them, 1 million people buy the game and play it, but if it's not good at 1.0, people will just leave in 1 week and never come back again. So we would need to keep that balance in mind and realize that if Diablo 4 or PoE 2 release before Last Epoch, then all the people, all the potential player base, all the potential viewers for this game will be playing something else instead. But if it releases before them and still multiplayer is bad, performance is not improved, and all that stuff, then people will try it, but then they will get the impression it's a bad game and never come back to it again. And we don't have to look any further than Wilson for that, because that's the perfect example of a bad release, a lot of promises that weren't being kept, a rush to get to 1.0. 1 million people bought that game and joined the game, and then they left it in droves in a couple of weeks, but not without leaving worst reviews ever everywhere, on Steam, on Steam, I am sorry, on Metacritic, and never coming back to that game again. So yeah. And main hurdles for multiplayer. That's a tough question to answer from somebody who's on the outside of things, because I'm watching the developer streams. I watched this one on Friday as well, and Mike over there is a developer, but he's not necessarily for the netcode, so he programmed all the skills in the game, all the skill systems in the game, let's say, the senior developer there. And he's pretty hush-hush about it, so he's keeping the information pretty close to the chest. He gave us a tidbit of information that, for example, shrines, when people are playing in multiplayer and someone takes the shrine bonus, they tested it that all the party members would get the buff only if they were like sitting next to the guy clicking on the shrine, and that didn't really go so well, so they've increased the distance for that. So if someone clicks on the shrine, everybody will get the buff within reasonable distance, as long as we're not all the way across the echo across the map. But the issues themselves have to do not only with the code, but also with the infrastructure, the servers. making online games is expensive because you need server space, you need virtual machines, you need cloud services, so infrastructure as a service, cloud as a service, all that stuff, and that costs money. I guess that was one of the reasons why EHG sold basically 20% of the stake in the company, or in last EPOCH, to Tencent, to get backing from a company that has a lot of money specifically for that. So it could be server infrastructure issues, and also considering how the end game looks like, all these monoliths, all these connected echoes, then they really need to have it clear in their mind how they will coordinate between players, being some in the echo, some in the reward room, some just in the hub, like in the end of time area. And they've described that a bit more in the developer blog, the latest developer blog from, I don't know, March, May, I don't really remember right now, but they did say that they've developed a system to instance content. So instancing is basically when you're in the reward room or when you're in the hub, you get your very own instance. So that is a bit less expensive about them, because actually the details they give us were more related to cost and less about the technical solution they found or how it benefits us, the consumers. It was more about making it a bit cheaper for them. So to sum it all up, bad netcode, bad infrastructure, servers which lead to disconnects, or just, authentication. If you remember Diablo 3, when it released, error 37, people couldn't log in for weeks to the game just because we would get a server error. And beside that, I guess they still need to implement trading. I'm not sure how they want it to look just yet. They were talking something about the bazaar, and actually I read about and found something about the bazaar which seemed very complicated. It's not an auction house, it's just an area where players set up shop. I think I've seen this in I don't know if it was Final Fantasy 14 or Final Fantasy Online or something similar. Basically an area where players can set up shop. Maybe Lineage 2 it was. And buyers would just browse and see what they need. That seems overly complicated, and I think they're actually going to skip that idea and make it simple. I just want to, join the game, play online with Common Hours Music, and trade something with him. Give him some gold or give a drop that I had. They also said in multiplayer drops are instanced, so everyone just gets their own drops. No drama about it, no rolling for it, of course. So instant drops, and something good for Common Hours Music's Necromancer drops. Something with, I don't know, minion damage, minion health, all that good stuff. Improved necrotic damage, improved, I don't know, cold damage, whatever else a Necromancer has. And I cannot give in to him if there is no trading system implemented. I don't want to sell it to him in the bazaar. So yeah, the question, Common Hours, was what hurdles they have at this point. I really don't know what stage of development they are in. I would say multiplayer works for the most part on their part, so I don't think they have really big issues, really big bugs. But it's all about the presentation as well, and it's all about the stress test, because the stress testing involves a lot of infrastructure, a lot of servers, and a lot of money for that, because it ain't cheap, my friend. So I think that could be an issue, but we'll have to test it and see it out. Hopefully this autumn, but you never know, because my hopes for Diablo 3 aren't high. Diablo 4 aren't high, and I'm really not. I'm too old to hope. Blizzard has delivered disappointment after disappointment over the past 10 years. So it's not just, you know, it wasn't just a coincidence for 10 years to do such bad deliveries and providing such abysmal service to games like Diablo 3, which didn't see new content for years on end. So outside of Diablo 4, what expectations are there? PoE, you know my opinion of it. It's a great game, but it's too complex. It requires too much time, which I don't have, and I don't think any normal person has, to be honest. I mean, no person with a job and or a family has time to play PoE 8 hours a day, as the developers intended to, as the developers made the game. So yeah, hopefully Last Epoch will be up there with the stars, which would be a real success story, to be honest, comparable to Grim Dawn's story, which just started with 3 guys. They were just recording voices for the characters on like a balcony or something like that in the studio, but they didn't even have a soundproof studio to record the voices. And yeah, that game sold millions upon millions of copies, which is, for an indie developer, can be considered a real success. So I'm hoping for the best, also for 11th-hour games. I don't think they deserve it if they keep their communication and contact with their community, and especially like those guys that have backed them ever since I don't know, Kickstarter and early beta and whatever. Follow their suggestions as well and don't ignore them. And they seem to be doing just that. Which is great. And other than that, I think they know what they're doing. Most of the part in designing an ARPG, we can see that they are experienced in the ARPG area as players, as consumers, and they know what they would want from their own game. That's good. The other thing is, though, they do not have a lot of experience, I mean none, beside this game, in developing ARPGs. And okay, ARPGs, but nowadays it's not ARPG anymore, it's a live service game. And actually, as an inexperienced developer, as an inexperienced team in that field, there can be issues with providing updates in time, and as mentioned, infrastructure, servers, netcode. Those are things they do not have any experience with just yet. So hopefully they know what they are doing, or having some good, hiring some good experts on that. And if the multiplayer will be the test, the multiplayer will be the final test. If they can provide with stable, well-designed, and intuitive, let's say, multiplayer, well-developed multiplayer, then I think everybody will be convinced, and more people will be joining in to test it out. If the multiplayer is leading to disconnects, if the multiplayer is laggy, I am still talking about the performance issue, because we have performance issues even with one player character. What happens when there are 4 of them and the entire screen is always full of mobs, minions, player characters and all that stuff? What happens then? If they manage to tackle the performance issue, which happens on high-end systems as well, let's be honest, and if they provide a solid multiplayer experience, then I think this game will see a spike in popularity. And if it provides enough content for the end game, even for the most seasoned PoE players that have the time to play 8 hours a day, if it provides all that content so they don't get bored, these types of players, then yeah, I think they're on the right track. And we'll probably know how it all went, how it all panned out early next year, or maybe this time next year, next summer, right? I myself am having fun. I have between Steam and GOG, I have more than 800 games, guys. I'm all covered. I can play anything else on the stream. I don't really care. I'm not staying up at night thinking, how will the release go? But I would really like for this game to succeed. I would really like for 11 of our games to succeed, just because in this area there is a drought, there is a famine for content like this, and we don't really have many alternatives in the RPG hack and slash area, especially for live service games or games that are still being actively maintained. So competition is good. I think competition is good. It pushes each developer to treat their game with more care, treat their active player base with more care, listen more to suggestions and community feedback, and not rest assured that not take their player base for granted, because they would have in this case alternatives and go to another game or to another live service that better serves their customers. But for now, it's summer 2022. Other issues as well.